Welcome to Dive Zone, your space to go deeper into English, one episode at a time. If you're enjoying the journey, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a deep dive into language learning.
Welcome back to another episode of the Sam and Lily podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lily. Thank you so much for being here with us again.
Today's topic is one I've been scared to admit I needed. Scared to change, scared to stay. That title alone is enough to make your chest feel heavy, isn't it?
It really is. Because behind that sentence lies so many sleepless nights, so much confusion, fear, and guilt. Change can feel like a monster. But sometimes, staying feels like slow emotional suicide.
Wow, Lily, you always go straight to the core. That word, emotional suicide, it hits hard.
Because I've lived it. And I know many people listening to us have too. This episode is for anyone who feels stuck in a job, a relationship, a city, a habit, anything that's quietly draining their soul. You want to walk away, but you don't know who you'll become once you do. You want to stay, but you barely recognize yourself anymore.
I feel like you're talking directly to me right now. And maybe to every listener too.
I hope so, because this isn't about judgment. This is about the truth. And sometimes the truth is simply, I'm scared.
Okay, let's start there. The fear. Why is change so terrifying even when we know we're not happy where we are?
Because the brain loves safety. It's wired for survival, not happiness. And safety often means familiarity. Even if the situation is painful, if it's familiar, your brain thinks, at least I know this pain. I know how to cope with it.
That's so twisted, but so real. I've been in situations where I thought, this is breaking me, but also thought, but what if I don't survive without this?
Exactly. And that's the trap. You start confusing survival with self-abandonment. You think, if I leave this, I'll lose everything. But the truth is, you're already losing yourself by staying.
So are we scared of change or scared of losing control?
Both. Change means facing the unknown. It means letting go of what we can predict, no matter how toxic. Control feels like safety, even if that control is over a life that's hurting you.
It reminds me of people staying in emotionally abusive relationships. They're not stupid. They're scared.
Right. Fear doesn't mean weakness. It means you're human. But when fear becomes your only guide, you stop living.
You mentioned something before, familiar pain. Can we talk about that? Because sometimes I think people stay just because they know how to survive it.
Yes. Imagine you're sitting on a couch full of nails. It hurts like hell. But you've sat on it for years. You know exactly where the nails are. You know how to shift your body just right, so it only stabs a little.
Ouch.
Now imagine someone tells you, there's a new couch across the room. It's soft, safe, supportive. But the lights are off. You can't see it. You don't know what it looks like. You don't know how long it'll take to get there. And what if there are worse nails along the way?
So you stay. Because at least the pain you know is predictable.
Exactly. Predictable pain is still pain. But the human mind values certainty over risk, even if it means suffering.
I hate that it makes so much sense.
But here's what's beautiful. Once you become aware of this pattern, you can choose differently. The moment you ask yourself, is comfort worth my soul? That's the beginning of your awakening.
There's another layer, isn't there? Sometimes from the outside, your life looks okay. You've got the job, the partner, the house, the smile on social media. And people think, why would you want to change?
Yes. And it creates a prison of silence. Because the moment you say I'm unhappy, the world replies, but you should be grateful.
Ugh, that word. Should?
Gratitude doesn't mean tolerating pain. You can be grateful for lessons, but still know something isn't right for you anymore.
So you end up pretending, smiling while dying inside, because it's easier than explaining to people who don't understand.
And that's why change is so lonely. Often, no one claps for you when you walk away. You don't get a celebration when you choose yourself. At first, you get silence, or criticism, or guilt trips.
That's brutal.
It is. But it's also the part where you meet yourself, the real you, the one who whispers, "Please choose me this time." That voice is quiet, but it's your truth.
Can we talk about what happens when people don't choose themselves, when they stay, even after knowing it's hurting them?
Yes, it starts small. Maybe a loss of passion, then energy, then identity. You start to feel like a ghost in your own life. Everything becomes routine. You wake up tired. You eat without tasting. You laugh without meaning. You look in the mirror and think, "Where did I go?"
That gave me chills. You begin to betray your inner voice. You say yes when you mean no. You smile when you want to cry. You say, "I'm fine," but you're not. And that's how people slowly lose themselves. Not in one big dramatic moment, but in tiny choices every day that say, "You don't matter." I've done that so many times.
We all have. But awareness is the first act of rebellion. You don't have to keep doing it.
So let's say someone's listening to this and they finally admit, "I'm not okay. I want to leave, but I'm terrified." What do they do?
First, honor that fear. Don't rush. Don't shame yourself. Write it down. Say it out loud. Tell someone you trust. Because the truth needs witnesses. Hiding it keeps you stuck.
That makes it real, doesn't it?
Yes. Then get curious. Ask, what am I afraid will happen if I change? What am I afraid will happen if I don't? That contrast is powerful.
And if the answer to "what if I don't change" is, "I'll lose myself"?
Then you already know your answer. Change isn't easy. But neither is slow emotional decay. At least with change, you have the chance to build something better.
And staying?
Staying means betting against your own growth. It means choosing comfort over becoming, and you deserve more than that.
Let's be real. After making a change, or even just thinking about it, there's this huge wave of self-doubt. Like, who do you think you are to want more? What if this is the best you'll ever get? Ah, the fog. That's what I call it. It's the emotional fog that rolls in after you take a step toward change. It clouds everything. Your vision, your confidence, your memory of why you wanted to leave in the first place.
Yes. It's like the moment I decide to walk away, I suddenly remember only the good parts and forget all the reasons I wanted out. That's normal. Your brain is trying to keep you safe. It wants to drag you back to what it can predict. That fog is just a sign that you're stepping into new territory. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're growing.
But how do you push through it?
You anchor yourself to your why. Write it down. Speak it out. Remind yourself daily. Why did I want to change? What was it costing me to stay? You need that clarity to cut through the fog.
That's powerful. It's like setting up a lighthouse in your storm.
Exactly. Because storms will come, but your truth can guide you through them if you don't forget it.
I want to talk about the grief of change. Because leaving, even something painful, still feels like loss. I've cried over things I knew were destroying me.
Of course you have. Because even toxic things can be familiar. We mourn not just what we had, but the future we imagined. The effort we gave. The version of us that kept believing it could work.
That hits deep.
Grief is part of healing. Let yourself feel it. Cry over the relationship you thought would last. Mourn the job that once excited you. Say goodbye to the version of you that stayed too long. That grief isn't weakness. It's evidence of how deeply you tried.
But I always feel like if I leave, I'll lose too much.
You might. You might lose comfort, people, money, plans. But you might also find something greater. Peace, purpose, yourself. And you won't find that if you stay in a life that keeps shrinking you.
So it's not about what you lose. It's about what you stand to gain.
Yes. And sometimes the gain isn't instant. It takes time. But it starts with choosing not to betray yourself anymore.
Another fear I think a lot of people have, including me, is starting over. Like, what if I leave and end up at square one? What if I have to rebuild everything from nothing?
Let me ask you something. Would you rather rebuild from a place of truth or stay in something that's slowly breaking you?
I mean, logically truth, but emotionally, I don't know if I have the energy to rebuild.
You don't need to rebuild everything overnight. You just need to take one honest step. Rebuilding isn't failure. It's choosing to create a life that actually fits you, not one you've been forcing yourself to fit into.
But what about the fear that I'm too old, too far gone, or too late?
Let me tell you something I've told myself. It's never too late to come home to yourself. The timeline doesn't matter. The world may pressure you with shoulds and milestones, but healing doesn't follow a calendar. Neither does transformation.
That gave me chills.
Every sunrise is proof that you get to begin again. Even after years of staying, even after countless false starts, you're never too late to live a life that loves you back.
Sometimes I think we lie to ourselves so much that we start believing the lie. Like, it's not that bad. I can handle it. Other people have it worse.
Those are survival lies. They keep us from facing the full weight of our truth, because the truth would require action, and action feels terrifying.
So how do we start being honest with ourselves again?
Start by sitting with yourself in silence. Ask, am I happy? Am I growing? Am I becoming more of myself or less? And don't rush the answer. Let it rise slowly.
That sounds so gentle and so intense.
Honesty is the beginning of healing. And sometimes the first honest sentence is simply, I'm not okay. That admission cracks open the possibility of change. But if you keep lying to yourself, you stay stuck in a cage you're pretending doesn't exist.
So even if nothing changes on the outside, naming the truth is the first change.
Yes, change starts inside. Once the truth is spoken, it begins to shape your choices, whether you want it to or not.
You know, sometimes I get overwhelmed thinking about all the changes I need to make. Like, where do I even start? It's paralyzing.
I totally get that. Change doesn't have to be some giant leap. It can be tiny steps. Sometimes the smallest ones have the biggest impact over time.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you want to leave a toxic job, but quitting feels impossible right now. Instead of quitting tomorrow, maybe the first step is updating your resume or applying to one new job a week, or even just setting aside 15 minutes daily to explore new possibilities.
I've never thought about it that way. I always thought if I'm going to change, it had to be immediate and total. That's a common misconception. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't dig up the whole garden at once. You water one seed and watch it grow. It's the daily, consistent actions that lead to transformation. That's kind of hopeful. It makes change feel less scary.
Exactly. Change becomes manageable when broken down. You build confidence with each small success, and those successes create momentum.
One thing I'm struggling with is setting boundaries. When I try, people push back or I feel guilty.
Boundaries are essential for mental health and growth, but many people see them as walls or rejection. In reality, boundaries are about respect for yourself and others.
But how do I set boundaries without feeling selfish?
By understanding that your needs are valid. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you honest. Boundaries protect your energy so you can show up as your best self.
What if people get angry or upset?
That's their reaction, not your responsibility. You can't control how others feel, only how you communicate and take care of yourself. Real growth often makes others uncomfortable, but that's part of the process.
So boundaries are a form of self-love?
Absolutely. They're like the fences around your garden, keeping out what harms you and allowing healthy things to flourish.
I want to dig deeper into saying no because that's so hard for me. I want to please people, and sometimes I say yes even when I know it drains me.
Saying no is a superpower you need to reclaim. When you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to your own well-being.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel like if I say no, I'll lose people or opportunities.
It's important to remember that the right people and opportunities respect your limits. If someone or something expects you to sacrifice your mental health, they're not the right fit.
That makes sense. But how do I practice saying no without guilt?
Start small. Practice saying no in low-stakes situations. Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation. A simple, I can't commit to that right now is enough.
I like that. Keeping it simple makes it feel less scary.
Exactly. Your time and energy are your most valuable resources. Saying no protects them.
Lily, sometimes I feel like I'm betraying myself by staying in a bad situation. But other times I wonder if I'm just being dramatic.
That's a tough feeling, and it's very common. Staying when something destroys your mental health is self-betrayal, but it's often not easy to see because the damage is slow and subtle.
Can you explain that?
Sure, it's like slowly watering a plant with dirty water. You don't notice the damage day to day, but over time, the roots rot. Your spirit works the same way. Constant exposure to toxicity, disrespect, or neglect wears you down even if it doesn't feel catastrophic all at once.
So it's not just dramatic, it's real?
Absolutely real. And recognizing that is the first step towards self-respect. You're not overreacting or being dramatic. You're reclaiming your worth.
The unknown is the biggest thing that scares me about change. I'm afraid of what comes next.
Fear of the unknown is natural. Our brains are wired to prefer predictability. It's survival. But growth lives in uncertainty.
How do you live with that fear and still move forward?
You don't have to banish the fear. You learn to befriend it. Notice it without letting it dictate your choices. It's okay to feel scared while taking a step forward.
So fear and courage can coexist?
Yes, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. Every step you take while scared is a victory.
I feel so alone sometimes when thinking about change.
Change is hard to do in isolation. Building a support system, friends, family, therapists, mentors, is crucial.
But what if people around me don't understand? Then find those who do, or who at least respect your journey. You don't have to carry everything alone. Sometimes just one person listening without judgment makes all the difference. I guess I've been trying to be strong by myself for too long.
Strength isn't always solo. It's knowing when to ask for help and leaning on others when you need to.
Sometimes I feel like every time I try to change, life throws me curveballs.
That's normal, but resilience helps you bounce back. It's not about avoiding hardship. It's about learning to grow stronger because of it.
How do I build resilience?
By practicing self-care, setting realistic goals, seeking support, and viewing challenges as opportunities to learn. Resilience isn't fixed. It's a muscle you can develop.
I want to understand why I keep ending up in situations that hurt me.
That's a big insight. Sometimes we repeat unhealthy patterns because they feel familiar, even if they're painful.
How do I break that cycle?
First, awareness. Reflect on past choices and what led you there. Then, identify what needs you were trying to meet. Finally, develop new ways to meet those needs that honor your well-being.
I often feel like I'm failing because I'm not perfect.
Perfection is a myth. Celebrate every small victory. Each step forward, no matter how tiny, is progress.
That mindset feels freeing.
It should. Growth is about progress, not perfection.
Lily, after all this, what would you say to someone scared to change but scared to stay?
I'd say, you're not alone. It's okay to be scared. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means you're about to grow. Trust yourself enough to take one step forward. Your future self will thank you for the courage you show today.
I've spent so much of my life in survival mode. Is it possible to fully live after that?
Absolutely. Survival was necessary. It protected you. But you don't have to stay in that state forever. Once you're safe enough to heal, you get to rediscover joy, slowness, creativity, connection, things that survival never made room for.
But it feels weird. Like, I don't know how to not brace for the worst. That's okay. You'll learn. Step by step, you'll begin to trust good things again. Living starts the moment you stop apologizing for wanting more than just to get through the day. What do you mean by listening to my future self?
Imagine the version of you who has already made it through the change. The one who's thriving, safe, peaceful. What would they tell you right now?
They'd probably say, I know it's hard, but thank you for not giving up. Thank you for choosing yourself.
Exactly. That voice, that future you is already inside. Listen to it more than the fear.
What if the people around me judge my decision to leave or change?
Some will, some won't get it. That's not your burden to carry. People view life through their own fears and beliefs. You're not here to live a life that makes everyone else comfortable.
It's hard not to take it personally.
I know, but you can learn to separate their discomfort from your truth. You don't need their approval to walk away from what's breaking you.
Sometimes I take 1 step forward and 3 steps back. Then I beat myself up for not being strong enough.
Healing is messy. It's not linear. There will be days you miss what you left, even if it was unhealthy. There will be days you want to go back, not because it was better, but because it was familiar.
That makes so much sense.
Give yourself grace. Strength isn't about always moving forward. It's about returning to your path, over and over.
So you're saying it all comes down to a choice?
Yes, a scary one, a slow one, a sometimes painful one. But it's yours. The choice to stay where you are and slowly disappear, or the choice to move forward, even trembling, toward the life you deserve.
That's terrifying and freeing.
Growth always is. But remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be brave enough to take the next step.
Lily, this conversation, it's changed something in me.
It's not me. It's you finally hearing what your soul's been whispering all along. You were never meant to stay where your light keeps dying.
I still feel fear, but also something else.
That something else is your inner compass pointing toward freedom. Let it lead. Let it pull you toward the life you've always deserved.
Even if I'm scared?
Especially if you're scared, because it means you're on the edge of something real.
Thank you, Lily, for reminding me it's okay to choose myself.
Always. You're not weak for walking away. You're brave for wanting better.
Thanks for watching Dive English Zone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, drop a comment below, and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of our upcoming lessons. See you in the next one.